Good to have you with us today. One of the key challenges facing the Donald Trump administration will be tackling Islamic State. And in the White House, the press secretary now says that Washington's open to joint strikes with Russia against the terrorists.
The president has been very clear that he's going to work with any country that shares our interest in defeating ISIS, not just on the national security front, but on the economic front. If we can work with someone to create greater market access and spur economic growth and allow U.S. small businesses and companies to...
But just on this idea of doing joint military actions with Russia and Syria...
I think if there's a way that we can combat ISIS with any country, whether it's Russia or anyone else, and we have a shared national interest in that, sure, we'll take it.
The declaration comes after months of rejection from the Obama administration of any form of cooperation with Russia over Syria. Until now, the U.S. and Russia have taken very different approaches to fighting ISIL and other extremists in Syria, where numerous rebel factions are still battling against the Assad government. This Tuesday, peace talks led by Russia and Turkey continue in the Kazakh capital, Astana. And RT's Nadira Tudor is there for us now, joining us live. Nadira, good to see you again. We've been waiting for this press conference, hoping to begin at any moment now. Are you getting a sense that there might be some sort of breakthrough announced today?
Well, I can't predict, and I'm not going to predict until the final press conference, but we have had some latest news just in now. Russia, Iran and Turkey are currently working on the final document, but the opposition are not ready to sign it. However, on a good note, they have said that they really do want a truce. So let's take a listen.
The opposition group is working on details of the truce. Expecting that there would be a truce, and they are taking these things seriously, and they are going in very minute details about how the truce should be established.
He also added that there will be no progress in the dialogue on the political transition in Geneva, with no agreement at the Astana talks. Now, I do need to stress that these talks are unprecedented because they've managed to get very conflicting sides at the same time, at the same table, which is, you know, totally unexpected. We've certainly all been in shock here at Astana. And the discussions have been incredibly tense. We've heard harsh words from both sides of the camp. That's the Syrian opposition and the Syrian government.
There are those who do not want the negotiations to succeed. If they manage to derail the process, we will have no option but to return to arms. Does this mean we want war? No. We came to Astana seeking to engage in a political process. But if this fails, of course we will not surrender, and we will not lay down our arms.
The delegation of the terrorist armed groups gave its own interpretation or misinterpretation of these agreements. They did not behave. They did not act according to the provisions and the references of the meeting, and this is why everybody got surprised.
And let's not forget that Turkey, Iran and Russia have helped the process considerably by trying to get all the sides to come up with a joint resolution.
Russia needs to demonstrate its role as guarantor. There are specific obligations, and we're monitoring their fulfillment. If guarantor states meet their obligations and make the Syrian regime, Iran, its fighters, join the agreement, this will help to restore peace.
Despite a heated dispute at the beginning, the parties have taken a sensible approach to the crisis.
Now, the UN Special Envoy de Mistura has stated that he is fully behind the peace process here in Astana. And all I can say now is that the journalists, the hundreds of journalists who have travelled worldwide for these talks, are waiting for those negotiators to come up with a final decision or result. And we're waiting for that final press conference, so I'll keep you updated.
All right, RT's Nadira Tudor in Astana. Thank you. Well, meantime, despite all the current peace efforts, sceptical voices are being heard coming from the EU. The German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier thinks real progress can only be made when the Syria talks resume in Geneva.
We are here in Astana as observers. These talks can only be an intermediate step. In my view, a political solution for Syria can only be reached at the negotiations in Geneva, in the attendance of the International Support Group.
Well, we spoke to several experts who think the Astana talks are a potential game changer for everyone involved with Syria.
It's monumental. First of all, you have the opposition sitting right across the table from the Syrian government. It's been a combination of diplomacy and military action, the so-called hybrid approach to foreign policy. And also the United States now has different representation, and the opposition realizes they're not going to be getting the backing that they once had from the Obama administration.
The Obama people were specifically excluded from these talks, but then they indicated, but if Trump wants to send somebody, they can. Well, they decided not to. They just said, we'll just have the American ambassador there, Mr. Kroll, as an observer. I think that's appropriate. I think we're willing to let the more involved parties take the lead, but we'll then team up with the Russians to hammer the terrorists.